If you try to Google the best places to buy a domain, you will come across articles at top of the search results that are bluntly lying and clearly have no knowledge about domains. They suggest to you, for example, that you should use something like domain.com, but I've actually tested them and they are really bad. I even contacted their support and you will be shocked what their own support told me about them. So I decided to do my own research and test everything up. I've also created custom graphs and custom tables to make it easier for you to go and visualize what is the best options. Now before we go and start judging them, we have to firstly go and discuss important rules you should always follow when you are choosing your domain. When you are a beginner and creating your first website, you will likely be offered a free domain when you are signing up for your first web hosting account. While this might seem tempting, you want to be careful for two main reasons. To begin with, those free domains are only free for the first year. After that, the renewal prices are significantly higher than usual. So I decided to test this with real numbers. I compared for you the cost of obtaining a domain solely through SiteGrounds, which is focusing on providing web hosting, versus using one of domain registrars I will show you in this video. If you look at the prices over a few years, you can see that this cost will be much higher via web hosting platform than bringing your own domain with you, which can significantly decrease the price for your web hosting overall. Secondly, it's also generally advised that you want to go and keep your web hosting and your domain name separately. This can cause issues, for example, when you want to go and migrate to a different web hosting company, because if you have everything within one company, it's hard to migrate and it can cause you a lot of trouble later on. Now in this video, I've included various domain registrar companies categorized into few main groups: complete mainstream options, which are targeting general customers; established entities, which are companies with strong focus on providing domains; and wildcards. Those are companies offering something unique, which can be either good or bad. Now for each company, I want you to purchase a simple .com domain with WHOIS privacy, which ensures that my personal information remains protected. Also, all prices mentioned throughout this video are in USD, bought via my link in the description, because some of them will offer you special discounts if you use my affiliate links. But now, let's start with the first comparison: Porkbun. Porkbun is a domain registrar with an overall rating of 4.8 on Trustpilot based on nearly 5,000 total reviews. They have been in this business for over 10 years and offer domain privacy as part of their basic package. In terms of ease of use, the process of finding and purchasing domains can be a bit confusing for beginners, and maintaining domains may be slightly more challenging for complete beginners. Despite it, Porkbun has consistently received positive reviews on places like Trustpilot and even on Reddit. Their selling point is definitely their competitive pricing. They are trying to keep it as low as possible, but surprisingly, they are not the cheapest on this list. They also offer additional services like web hosting, but their web hosting services still have room for improvement to become more competitive. Porkbun will also provide you with relatively good customer support. They have a collection of pre-written articles addressing the common problems, and you can even reach out to them via email, phone, or live chat, where you can even go and attach photos, which I really appreciate. However, one downside is, if you need immediate assistance with real human being, it may be challenging as their support team operates from 9 AM to 5 PM Pacific time. This may cause some delays or even some difficulties when you want to go and contact them but you live in a different time zone, or if you are working on your domain, let's say after your work in evening, it will be much harder to go and get in touch with them. Now, when it comes to pricing, Porkbun offers one of the most affordable plans available. If you are price sensitive and interested in, for example, flipping domains, they offer discounts based also on number of domains you purchase at once. Also, they don't aggressively push upsells and automatically include important features like WHOIS privacy for your domain. In conclusion, Porkbun is a reputable domain registrar with a competitive pricing, relatively good customer support, and solid track record. However, their web hosting services and additional services have room for improvement. Now, if you personally value the price, you will definitely find that Porkbun may be a suitable option for you. Also, what I would like to mention is this cool page inside here. If you don't like the name, you can go and click on it and you will see this sad face. Namecheap. Namecheap is considered by some as a golden standard in domain registration, although their renewal prices may be slightly higher compared to their competitors. You are paying for the convenience and ease of use they provide. They excel in various aspects of the services, offering a simple domain purchasing process with free automatic inclusion of WHOIS privacy. This makes them a good option for complete beginners who are still navigating the world of websites. Personally, I also started with Namecheap and I registered my first domain with them, and I have to say I do not regret that. When it comes to support, Namecheap provides 24/7 live support and their overall support quality is on a very good level. I personally have never had any issues with them and I always could get in touch with them. The waiting time is really minimal and they have an extensive knowledge base covering a wide range of topics. Another significant advantage for me personally is that they also offer video guides, which is something I personally prefer. When it comes to pricing, depending on the current deals available, a basic .com domain from Namecheap will cost you around $6 to $7 for the first year. Now the renewal prices is around $14 per year and domain transfers are priced at around $10. Now if you want to view those prices and deals they are currently running, you can simply visit their website by clicking the link in the description. Now don't worry, you don't need to go and remember all of those pricing. I've actually go and put it up inside the final table, all of the pricing for all domain registrar inside here. Overall, we can say that Namecheap is really like a good quality Swiss knives. They offer a very big selection of stuff and they are all relatively decent and you can go and choose which one you want to go and use. I personally definitely don't regret buying my own domains via them and I would actually go and offer to complete beginners to go with them as well. Domain.com. If I want to go and give one good thing to domain, it's definitely their domain actually. Domain.com is a great domain. But this is actually the only thing that will make you smile while using their services. Let me give you some background information. They are actually owned by a big corporation called Newfold Digital that used to be called Endurance International Group, but they changed their name due to all the negative reviews they were getting online. Unfortunately, I don't think this rebranding actually worked because they haven't basically changed anything. As you can see, this corporation, Newfold Digital, owns a bunch of companies and their strategy seems to be very simple. They will go and buy already existing companies that have a relatively good reputation and they will go and start raising those prices for you to pay without improving them or doing anything with them. But here is another sad thing about Domain.com. They are one of few companies that still charges you separately for WHOIS privacy. That means that you have to pay extra just to make sure that your private information doesn't end up all over the internet. So let's talk about the pricing. You need to be aware that Domain.com expects you to pay extra for WHOIS privacy, even though most companies will go and include it for free in their basic deals. And what really bothers me personally is they are trying really hard to hide renewal prices from you because, well, they are absurdly high. It is like they are hoping you won't find out until it's too late, and you will end up paying those extra fees along with WHOIS privacy charges. Now just for you to imagine, their renewal prices are more than triple of what the cheapest option in this video is charging for a domain renewal. And you definitely want to go and buckle yourself up because at the end of this video, when I will go and show you how much you will be paying after 10 or 15 years of using this compared to some different domain registrars, you will be shocked. Now let me go and talk a little bit about their support because this was completely bizarre. I decided to go and test it as I did with every single company. I just wanted to see how can they respond, what is the waiting times, and overall how can I contact them. I decided to ask them if WHOIS privacy is included in renewal pricing or if I need to go and pay extra. But guess what? The support agent called Rahil sent me a link to a completely different company's pricing page called iPages. And it turns out that the company iPages is also owned by this giant corporation, Newfold Digital. And when I asked Rahil directly, what is the difference between those two? He basically said there is not even any difference between them. And it's pretty clear to me what this Newfold Digital Corporation is actually doing. They're outsourcing all their support to India. Now there is nothing wrong with that, but what they're actually doing is they're making one support agent basically juggle between probably even dozens of companies, and they have to give help to dozens of different companies. And you should definitely think about it, how good of a support you can receive if your support agent has to go and juggle with potentially dozens of different companies, I don't think you can go and receive very good support, to be honest. This is also why it is so important to watch videos like this and maybe potentially even subscribing to my channel rather than only blindly following Google search results. Now, if you would just follow blindly those top Google search results, like this article on Forbes, they're making it seem like it's a no-brainer option, an overall great company, and you should go with domain.com. But trust me, you do not want to go and have a horrible experience because of those hidden fees and lack of transparency just because they are a giant company. And you may be asking yourself, well, why would they do something like this? Because do you remember, as I mentioned, those affiliate links? Well, you will receive commission from every sale you refer to them. And surprise, surprise, domain.com is paying the most amount of money for every single customer. Because they are so expensive, they can go and basically afford it. So basically what is happening in those articles, they are basically hiking up all of those companies. They will go and pay them the most amount of money just to earn most amount of money, logically. Now, I just want to make this completely clear. I decided not to be even affiliated with them because they are just so bad and there are so many better options. So I'm not even affiliated with them. And my personal opinion is you should definitely not use them. Cloudflare. Cloudflare is a bit different because selling domain isn't their main business. It's actually more like their tactic to go and lure you inside their big ecosystem. Now, they offer a domain at wholesale prices, which means they're not really aiming to make any profit from it. But here's the thing. Cloudflare is a lot of good things, but they're definitely not beginner friendly. And if you don't have any experience with managing domains, I would definitely advise you to stay away from it. It can be quite confusing and you will need some experiences with domain management or navigating through it all. Even I personally was super confused when trying to figure out how can I go and actually purchase a domain through that. Now, you cannot even look up if the domain you are looking for is available before creating an account with them, and then you need to go and verify your account. But guess what? They will not send you automatically verification email. You have to go back and request it. And after that, you will go and unlock some new things you haven't seen before in this sidebar. And now you have to go to domain registration, and now you can choose register domain and type in the domain you are searching from. This everything was just to go and find out if our domain we want to go and buy is available. Actually going, buying it and managing it is way harder. Now, they also offer only around 200 top-level domains according to themselves. Of course, common ones like .com, .org, .net are included. But if you are looking for some specific top-level domain, or you live in some different small country that have some specific top-level domain, you definitely want to go and check out if there is actually available through Cloudflare. Another unique aspect of Cloudflare is that they require you to use their DNS management, and you cannot go through another company for that. Now, I don't have problem with using them, but I've seen some people online having trouble with this. Now, let's talk about pricing. There is actually not much to talk. They are selling it for wholesale prices, and they have basically the best prices. They have no fluff around it. It just works like this. You will give us $9.15 per year, and we will give you domain. It is that simple. No upsells, nothing like that. Overall, I get a feeling that selling domains is more like their side project for Cloudflare. It is definitely not their main focus, and they may not have allocated as much manpower to ensure the best customer experience. However, especially for beginners, this will also translate into a lack of customer support in this area. However, if you are looking for a cheap, reputable option and you have some experiences with Cloudflare before, this is definitely a great option for you. But if you are a beginner, I would go and strongly advise you to go and spend $4 a year for something better like Namecheap or even Porkbun. Google Domain. Well, I've got a sad news to share with you. Google Domain is no longer with us. They have been acquired by Squarespace for a whopping $180 million. It is actually a significant change to a domain landscape overall, because over 10 million domains will be transferred from Google to Squarespace. Now, if you want to go and see it into details, I made a complete video about it. You definitely want to go and check it out to understand what is actually happening and how it will go and affect customers with Google domains. I've actually been recommending them a lot because I really like that they have been using their infrastructure of Google, which is really massive and very well maintained, to be honest. But nowadays, I cannot go and recommend it because they are actually selling everything to Squarespace. However, now, since Google Domain is basically no longer going to be with us, Hover is something that's trying to be very close to Google Domains. Hover has a clean and user-friendly interface, which is perfect for beginners who may be new to the domain registration. They don't try to upsell you on unnecessary add-ons and even include whois privacy in the price. One downside with Hover is that they do not offer some additional services like, for example, SSL certificate, which nowadays is really essential in my opinion. You will have to go and obtain those from a third party, and it can get a bit confusing when you start juggling separate web hosting, domain, DNS, SSL certificate, and maybe even some CDNs. It can get really confusing. Now, since Hover focus primarily on selling domains, they don't have additional stuff like web hosting, they have to go and make most of their profit through selling domains, which means their prices are gonna be a little higher than usual. On the bright side, they're definitely much cheaper than domain.com, and they are also very transparent about their pricing, and they also include renewal pricing so you can go and see what you will pay, which is always appreciated. Their support is relatively decent, though not available 24/7. They have their office hour listed on their website. And one cool feature I actually find out when trying to contact them is that you have this cool window inside here that shows you if they are currently in the office, which can be handy especially if you are living in a different time zone. Now, the thing that makes Hover a wild card actually is that they have super easy and seamless integration with stuff like Shopify or even Squarespace. You can do it basically with one click, and that is definitely something beginners should keep their eye on. If you're looking for very easy integration and something that will just work, Hover can be a really good choice for you. But to be honest, I'm not entirely sold on overall hype around them. I do think they are relatively decent, but there are also some companies that provide something similar for cheaper price. But if those $4 to $5 a year isn't a big deal for you personally, you can definitely go with them and take advantage of those easy integrations. Dynadot. In the past, Dynadot seems like a fantastic no-brainer option, but recently they're starting raising those prices little by little. However, you can still find a good discount on them. If you use my link in the description, you can still grab a .com domain for the first year at $788, which is a pretty sweet deal. And after the initial year, the renewal prices is around $11, which is still reasonable compared to many competitors. One thing to know is that Dynadot has started offering additional services like their own website builder. However, you probably already know me, I do not recommend using something like this. You definitely want to go and always stay with something like WordPress, or even if you really need to Wix or Squarespace or even Shopify, because they are already established, they have good support, and using those niche website builders, it can cost you a lot of pain in the long run. And going and migrating to a different platform if you outgrow it is super hard and inconvenient. So you definitely want to go stay away from stuff like this. Now, Dynadot will also offer you a nice support. I would mainly use their live chat, where you can also see how many people are in front of you in queue, which is super nice. But I personally, I've always seen 0, so I don't know if nobody is actually asking them any question or if it's actually broken. But I had no problem contacting them and asking them a few questions. They seem to know what they are talking about. Now, Dynadot seems to be like relatively decent option for complete beginners. They do have competitive pricing, and their overall seems to be nice company. They don't do some weird upsells or stuff like that, or some weird pricing models. They're pretty simple, pretty friendly to use, and you can definitely go and recommend them to someone. But also keep in mind, if you want to go and have everything on one place, for example, your domain, your email, your web hosting, this may not be the best option for you, and you want to go and explore some different options, for example, Cloudflare or even Namecheap. Okay, so here, as I promised, we can see the overall results. We can see the best thing is in this bold and the worst thing is underlined inside here. So we can see the cheapest option for the first year is definitely Namecheap, thanks to the deal they are currently running, and basically most expensive for everything was a domain.com. You can see also the renewal prices inside here. Cloudflare is definitely a winner because they are selling for wholesale prices, and you can see if you would go and pay for 3 years, still cheapest would be Porkbun, but after that you can see that Cloudflare is definitely winning as the cheapest, and you can actually see how big of a difference is between domain.com and, for example, Cloudflare. It can be nearly triple of what you would pay, and you can see this is just throwing money away. Now, in terms of ease of use, I would definitely say that Hover seems to be very easy to use, but also stuff like Namecheap or even Dynadot are easy to use. On the other hand, Cloudflare definitely is a lot of good stuff, but ease of use definitely doesn't belong inside here. When it comes to support, I think Namecheap is one of the best. I really like their videos and overall the ways that they have 24/7 support and how you can go and actually contact them. Domain.com, we have seen it, what their support actually did, so I would go and rank them as the worst. When it comes to reputation, I think Cloudflare has a very good reputation. This is kind of different because Cloudflare has a very good reputation also from many other things, so it's very, very hard to judge. But everyone seems to have kind of good reputation, besides obviously Domain.com, they are really, really shady. Now, when it comes to offering additional products and how good they are, I would actually say Cloudflare definitely have the most amount, and you can go and even into some corporate options, and you can even go and have so much stuff with them that they definitely deserve 5 points, which is, by the way, the most you can get. And the worst part was probably Harvard. They don't even offer stuff like ethical certificates, which is kind of bad. Overall winner, we can say it's a Namecheap, but you can definitely go and use this. For example, if you already know how to use Cloudflare, and this doesn't apply to you, well, your winner definitely should be Cloudflare. So let's also break down who are the winners and losers and who should you pick on which occasion. So if you're looking, for example, to flip domains, so you want to go and buy as much domains for the best price, and you don't need to go and do anything with them, you are strictly looking for the best price, you definitely want to go and consider Cloudflare or even Porkbun. They will be great choices for you, and they are definitely cheapest from this list. If you are planning to actually go and work with your domain, so you want to go and actually create your website, you want to go and connect it to web hosting, you want to have something that's very user-friendly for you, and I would definitely go and recommend you something like Namecheap or even Dynadot. Now, if you are willing to pay something extra like $5 a year extra, and you are really, really looking for extra convenience and something fast that can go and connect to stuff like Shopify or Squarespace or additional platforms, you definitely should consider Hover. They seem to be pretty good and decent company. They're not hiding anything, they are what they are, and they seem to be pretty good. On the flip side, I would highly suggest you to stay away from stuff like Domain.com because they're a little bit shady with their pricing, their support seems to be a little bit lost, and they are just so damn expensive, and they're not even including who is privacy inside their deal. And I would also go and suggest you to go and stay away from basically everyone who is not including who is privacy, but who is also charging more than $20 for renewal, because this is just too high. And you can see it, for example, GoDaddy is charging over $20 as well, and I would definitely go and advise you to stay away from them as well. They are just too damn expensive. So if you want to see just one winner, who should I go with? You should definitely go with the Swiss knife of domains, and that is Namecheap. I personally am still with them, and I actually have no problem with them. Now, if you think that this video didn't answer what is the best for specifically you, you can go and write your situation down in the comment section, and I will go and try to find out the best thing for you personally. But this is everything from me today. Have a nice day and goodbye.